So, wait, describe to me again, like, what exactly is going on in these pictures?
Well, this young man's being forced to, by Belgian forces in Somalia, to drink a mixture of saltwater vomit and eat worms. And then it also talks about how, in the Village Voice, how they got, actually had the entire article at home, how they got them inside so that the Hutus, they got a whole group of Hutus inside a building and then left the compound and then let the rivals come in and kill them.
Yeah. And so the American public has been... they
haven't been told about it. You can actually get this issue. No.
Well, then how did you get this issue?
Well, I mean, these are... in Europe, it's widely reported. So you're talking about the atrocities. But you don't think that's the issue. You think these people are just being Machiavellian and trying to hurt the UN by showing these pictures.
Yes, I do, actually.
So you think these pictures it's kind of a good thing that the press has ignored them because the mainstream press understood that these people were just trying to manipulate, so they haven't shown us these pictures.
Well, it seems as though if this was actually such a big deal as this New American makes it to be, it seems like it would be definitely a more widespread amount.
Let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with what Pol Pot did in Cambodia? Killed over 2.5 million people. You didn't hear much about that?
Yes, I did, actually. I studied.
Are you familiar with Kirk Waldheim, who was the Secretary General of the United Nations from 1972 to 1982?
No, I'm not familiar.
Do you know who he was? He was a high-ranking SS officer in World War II, and the United Nations knew it, and they fought to protect him, but the world community demanded that he be taken out.
Well, I
remember that name, and that's historical fact, Kirk Waldheim.
Okay.
Really, remember that name, Justin. It's Kirk Waldheim.
Kirk Waldheim?
Yeah, remember that name, Secretary General from 1972 to 1982.
All right, I will.
And find out who pushed for the League of Nations and then later the United Nations, a bunch of transnational corrupt interest. And then they get a lot of good people at the lower levels that believe it's for the kids and all that, but really it's fascism packaged nicely.
I don't know what to say about that.
It's about losing sovereignty.
Really?
Yes.
No.
Well, look, you can ignore them burning the kids, and you can ignore all that, but what you don't want to ignore, and what you can't ignore, is Kirk Waldheim.
I don't understand how I could not ignore him.
Well, I'm just saying that's something that's totally historical.
Oh, okay.
Let me ask you...
Where's this picture taken?
That was taken in Somalia.
In Somalia?
Yes, that's been all over the European press. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah?
Let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the fact that we hear all day about the atrocities of Hitler, which were horrible and wrong and terrible, and he should have been executed if they could have caught him, and many more like him, and they did?
Yeah.
But you never hear about Stalin, who killed more than he did. Why is that?
I do. I've studied Stalin.
Well, you've studied it, but what do you hear more in the press?
I don't hear much about the Holocaust very much.
Oh, really?
No, not in the press lately.
Well, I'm talking about for 50 years, and we should hear about it. We should see it, but you don't hear much about the atrocities in China, do you? 30 million in slave labor camps?
I've heard about that, yes.
Oh, but you've heard about it, but we have to be pragmatic and still keep trading in human organs. They sell human organs from political dissonance. Would you have bought lampshade? Would you have bought a lampshade made out of Jewish skin?
No, I would not have.
Well, then why are we saying be pragmatic now with China that's selling human organs? It's the same thing, trading in human flesh.
Well, I certainly disagree with trading human flesh.
Well, then you and the United Nations should stand up against China instead of embracing them and coddling them.
I agree with that.
Good, then get in there and tell them.
All right, I certainly will.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Appreciate it.
Well, you've seen what's going on around the country and here in Austin, Texas, where this was produced. Now you're going to see me, Alex Jones, and about 100 other people go down to the Texas Department of Public Safety and protest thumb scanning, finger imaging for driver's license. Yes, everyone must get it. And according to the Federal Register, President Clinton would like to start random urine, blood, or other tissue sample testing at the driver's license facilities around the nation. Well, don't hear it from me. Hear it from Newscast and our cameras that were there on the scene the fateful day that 100 Americans stood up to Big Brother.
Well, getting a driver's license caused quite a stink here in Austin today. You know, in Texas, if you want one of these, well, you have to give your thumbprints. But KISJ Carter shows you why some folks today said they don't want anybody scanning their body parts.
Go up, and if they come up and touch me in any way, I'm going to lay down peaceably and let the police state minions drag me away.
Alex Jones wants to renew his driver's license. He also expects to be arrested.
I'm going in there with my passport, my birth certificate, my driver's license, my W-2 form.
But he won't give a thumbprint. Moments after this interview, troopers did arrest him.
If you do not leave now, I will be forced to arrest you.
Sir, I'm here to get a driver's license. I have never had a criminal record, and it's time to go.
Jones says fingerprinting gives government too much control. And the next thing you know, they'll ask for urine and blood samples. Rebecca Yoakum walked through the crowd of protesters to renew her license. She didn't mind giving her thumbprint.
I really don't see anything wrong with the thumbprinting, and it's kind of weird how everybody's protesting about it.
But the protesters believe if they don't speak up now, the requirements to drive could get even more personal. With your eye on Austin, I'm Jay Carter.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail, and he'll face a disorderly conduct charge. The DPS points out, by the way, that its database of thumbprints helped identify some of the victims of the tornado in Gerald last year, and they say this system helps and protects all of us.
I'm sorry, sir, you're just flat wrong. This has nothing to do with public safety and everything to do with the international tracking grid that's being set up. All you have to do is watch Lockheed Martin Marietta commercials from the defense industry to Visa commercials. All down the line, they're pushing thumb scanning to buy and sell, and probably within 5 to 10 years, everybody's going to have to do this to buy and sell. And this is all for the IRS to gather intelligence on us. The DPS even admits it. It goes to the federal government. It's all hooked into a national database, and you see the free market supposedly engaged in this. It's all part of a grid of control. And some of you will say, well, what do we have to hide? It's called an invasion of privacy, ladies and gentlemen. It's called innocent until proven guilty. It's called a government that has a terrible track record of abusing its citizens, and the IRS stealing from innocent people that have broken no laws being abused. I'm just so tired of this. Everything under the color of law. This is totally unconstitutional. Now let's get to the actual video of the actual protest.
Blood testing, urine testing, things of that nature. So for those of us that are not in the know, and for those of us who really are not in this, as you are, could you kind of explain what's going on here?
Sir, I have given you the executive order put in the Federal Register by Bill Clinton in 1997. He has announced it. He says that urine and blood testing that they plan to do nationwide is only for people 18 and under. It is for 25% of large state populations randomly selected, and they're thumb scanning us like criminals. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? I heard that.
Several forms of identification.
I have 8 forms of identification, from my passport to my old driver's license to my W-2 form, my tax form, to my Social Security number, to my car insurance, and I also have another picture ID. And that had better be enough for them, ladies and gentlemen. This is really getting out of control. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Why are Americans laying around like sheep and allowing themselves to be treated like criminals? We're law-abiding citizens.
At what point do you expect, or do you expect at all, for what you were talking about, the blood testing, the drug screening, is that really coming?
Sir, I have given you the federal documents that are mandating the states to do that. Clinton in 92 mandated the thumb scanning. It has been adopted by many of the states. Texas since 93. He mandated it in late 1997 for 98 to be implemented. Now that's up to the states, and that's why we're drawing attention to this. Thumb scanning and no further. I'm against thumb scanning, but now they want this urine and blood testing. This is the slippery slope. And to those out there that say, what do I have to hide? I am innocent until proven guilty. I have no criminal record. Alex Jones has no criminal record, and we should not be treated like criminals.
I don't want to ask what you have to hide, but what is it that makes you so passionate about this?
Our government cannot be trusted. Even this month's, liberty. Even this month's Popular Mechanics talks about the government testing chemicals and biologicals on our people in the 1950s and 60s. The IRS, you've heard the hearings. There's CIA drug trafficking hearings going on right now in the Congress. This is on television. This government is controlled by a bunch of thugs, in my opinion, and I think a lot of bureaucrats are dupes to it. I just don't trust our government. And our founding fathers warned us not to hate our government, but to fear our government. I should not have to thumb scan and be in a computer. They also digitally capture your signature and your photograph. They could create any false identity they wanted to with your name and your Social Security number. And many government bureaucrats from the IRS to the EPA have been caught selling information. There are thousands of cases and convictions of this if people would just investigate it. This is an invasion of privacy. That's the most important thing. It's an invasion of privacy. There is no innocent until proven guilty in this country anymore, and Americans across the country have got to start standing up against Big Brother. And if they come up and touch me in any way, I'm going to lay down peaceably and let the police state minions drag me away. Okay? Let's get ready to go in here in about 5 minutes. God bless y'all for being here.